I remember the night I left like it was yesterday. The cold wind bit at my skin as I ran from everything I had ever known, every room that held my silence, every hallway that echoed with Serafina's laughter, every memory I had tried to convince myself was love. It was the night I finally decided to stop being the invisible twin, the one who no one noticed or cared for. I was Sienna Ashford, the forgotten girl. And that was the night I became someone else. Growing up, no one saw me. Not truly. Not the way I needed to be seen. We were twins, Serafina and I. Two halves of a whole, or so people liked to say. But while we looked the same, our golden hair catching the sunlight, our blue eyes mirror images, everything else about us was night and day. I was the quiet one. The bookworm. The girl who smiled politely in family portraits, who never made waves. Serafina? She was the storm. She was the spotlight. The perfect daughter. The charismatic one who could charm anyone with a laugh and a glance. Teachers adored her. Classmates worshipped her. Our parents, Victoria and Charles, were obsessed with the image she reflected back at them. She was the daughter who made them proud, the one they paraded in front of guests like a prized trophy. And me? I was a shadow trailing behind her glittering footsteps. But it wasn't just the neglect that hurt. It was the cruelty. The slow, calculated way Serafina made sure I knew I was less. It wasn't enough for her to shine, she had to snuff me out in the process. She'd steal my clothes and wear them like they were always hers, making me feel foolish for even caring. "Oh, I didn't know you liked that one," she'd say with a laugh, as if she hadn't done it a dozen times before. She'd mock the way I spoke, the books I read, the way I dressed, the way I existed. And when I pushed back, she'd play the victim. She was always so good at that. People believed her without question. The whispers in the hallways at school turned into laughs. The sideways glances became full-on sneers. Sienna is weird. Sienna's such a freak. And behind it all was Serafina, smiling sweetly, her words dipped in honey. She's just different, she'd tell people, pretending to care. She's always been sensitive. It was a lie. A performance. One my parents applauded without ever questioning the script. I tried to tell them. I begged them to see me. To see what was happening. But they were always too busy. Too distracted by their perfect lives, their perfect daughter. My silence became the proof of my unimportance. If I didn't scream, they assumed everything was fine. But I was screaming. Just not loud enough for them to hear. By 16, I was unraveling. Each day felt heavier than the last. Serafina's cruelty had become venom, and I was drowning in it. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl staring back. Hollow eyes. Faded dreams. A ghost of who I used to be. That's when I knew I had to leave. So I did. No note. No goodbye. Just a backpack, a hoodie, and a determination I hadn't felt in years. I vanished into the night, leaving behind the ashes of the girl I used to be. I became Leah Hawke. At first, I was just surviving, sleeping on couches, taking odd jobs, using fake names. But somewhere in the chaos, I began to build something real. I enrolled in community college, paid for classes one shift at a time. I studied psychology, design, marketing, anything that made me feel like I was taking control of my own story. And when I finally found the strength, I started a business. Just me, my laptop, and a dream I didn't dare say out loud. It was small at first. But it grew. People started recognizing my work, my voice. For the first time in my life, I mattered. I wasn't Sienna anymore. I was Leah. A woman who had crawled out of the wreckage and learned how to fly. But the past has a way of creeping back, doesn't it? One morning, I got the invitation. A white envelope, embossed in gold, like something out of a dream. Or a nightmare. Ashford Family Gala, you are cordially invited to an evening of celebration and legacy. No personal note. No acknowledgement. Just an invite, as if the years I'd been gone didn't matter. As if they hadn't noticed I'd disappeared. But I had changed. And I wasn't going to ignore them any longer. I walked into that ballroom with my head high and my heart like thunder in my chest. The chandeliers sparkled above me. The smell of perfume and champagne filled the air. And the Ashfords were there, glowing in their gilded perfection. And then I saw her. Serafina. She hadn't changed a bit. Flawless, poised, surrounded by admirers. She looked right at me, and didn't even flinch. She didn't recognize me. Of course she didn't. I was no longer the girl she left behind. I waited. Until the music slowed. Until the host took the stage. Until the room quieted just enough for me to step forward and take the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice calm, steady. "My name is Leah Hawke. And I have a story to tell you." The room fell into silence. Glasses stilled. Heads turned. All eyes on me. I saw Serafina's smile falter. "I'm the twin sister of Serafina Ashford," I said, my words slicing through the air like a blade. "But you wouldn't know that. Because for most of my life, I was invisible. Erased. Made to believe that I didn't matter. And the person who did it, who orchestrated it all with a smile on her face, was her." Gasps. Murmurs. My parents stood frozen near the back, their faces ghostly pale. She mocked me. Humiliated me. Made sure I knew I would never be enough. And when I disappeared, none of you came looking. Serafina opened her mouth to speak, but I raised a hand. "No. You don't get to talk now." "I do. For once in my life, I do." I turned to the crowd. She made her life by destroying mine. And no one saw it. No one wanted to. Because she was beautiful. Charming. Perfect. But perfection is just a mask. And tonight, I'm tearing it off. I looked her in the eyes. "I'm not afraid of you anymore." She stared back, speechless. Her kingdom built on lies was starting to crumble. My voice softened. "You made me believe I was nothing. But you were wrong. I am so much more than what you tried to make me. And I will never go back to being your shadow again." I left the stage to silence, thick, shocked, undeniable silence. Not applause. Not cheers. Just the sound of truth hanging heavy in the air. And for the first time in my life, that was enough.